Lesson 66, Declensions. With this lesson, you're entering into a whole new realm of Russian language knowledge. From here to the end of the book, you're going to be learning about all the different endings that a Russian noun can have. Any Russian noun can have as many as 10 different endings. And these endings are very important because they tell you what that particular noun is doing in the sentence. It tells you the function of that noun. So these are little tag endings that get added on to the end of a noun. We have certain patterns of noun endings. And in Russian, there are 3 different patterns of noun endings, and each pattern is called a declension. We have the first declension, the second declension, and the third declension. Each declension is a certain pattern of noun endings that a noun can have as it changes endings to show the different functions of what it can do in a sentence. So in Russian, each noun will belong to one of those 3 big groups of nouns. All the nouns that fit into the first declension or the first pattern of endings, all the nouns that fit into the second declension or second pattern of endings, and then all the nouns that fit into the third declension or third pattern of noun endings. Okay, so we have these 3 big groups of nouns, each with its own pattern of endings. In this particular book, we are only going to work with the first declension. Instead of trying to teach you 3 declensions all at the same time, we're going to teach you only one, so you can focus on mastering just that one declension. But then the knowledge you gain from learning about that declension, you'll take that knowledge with you as you learn the other 2. Because you'll know how a declension works, and you'll know the different functions that a noun can have in a sentence. All you'll have to do is learn some new endings for the second and third declensions. As I mentioned before in an earlier commentary recording, this pattern of declensions is very similar to other languages such as Latin and Greek. Latin, Greek, and Russian, all 3 have very similar declensions. They have a first declension that's mostly feminine, a second declension that's mostly masculine and neuter, and a third declension that has a little bit of everything. So that basic structure is a thing that you see across several languages. That's because they all come from the same parent language, Indo-European. Let me direct your attention to this chart here in Lesson 66. As you can see, the first declension, those nouns are generally feminine, and they generally end in an ah sound. That's the final vowel sound of those nouns. In Greek, it's the letter alpha. In Latin, it's the letter A. Here in Russian, same thing. It's the sound ah. And that's the declension that we will be working with in this book. If you continue your studies in Russian, later on you'll learn the second declension, which is masculine or neuter, and then the third declension as well. Again, we're not handling those in this book. We just want you to focus on the first declension and master that one thing. So stick with us over the next few lessons, and you're going to start to learn the specific endings of Russian nouns and how they communicate meaning.